Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oops. That was so weird. All right. Pardon me. I want to see how we do here. Give it a quick try. Okay. And let's see. Oh, wonderful. Okay. What? No way. Are we live? We are live. Okay. Excellent. Are we live? Okay. I'm so glad we are live. Okay. That is a surprise. Okay. Let me just get my bearings here. Super fast, speedy, quick. Okay. Wow. I can't believe it. You guys get to see the baby goats do their thing. They're pretty hungry. That's pretty cool though. All right. Happy goats equals happy life. All right. Let's see what we can do. So, I've been thinking a lot today about the people that I've met over the years and some of the things that come up over and over again. Yeah. So, we're just trying to organize the bottles here. I've got Mr. Bad Goat helping out the babies. And we're just trying to get organized here. But as you can see, the cuteness is a little bit overwhelming. Yes, it is. So, what we're going to do is just run our tests, make sure everything is really, really nice. Yes. And once we get there, hello, Vinyl. How's it going? I'm really happy you're here. I'm just trying to figure this all out, and I couldn't get Spout to work on my Mac, so I need to keep working on the green screen thing. But I had a lot of time to think about what I'm doing here on the YouTubes, and it's a mission. It's a journey. As you can see, the baby goats are pretty happy to be baby goats. I'm a little jealous, to be honest. It's good to be a baby goat. Yes, it is. It is very good to be a baby goat. But what I've been coming across over and over and over again is elementary school, personal life, family, friends, Facebook Reels. Everywhere I go, I cannot get away with this. Everyone's crying and telling me that they have ADHD. It's like, I'm so sorry. I can't be a nice person because I have ADHD. That time I was forgetful and thoughtless and late. That wasn't me. That was my ADHD. I'm really a nice person, really. I just have ADHD. So the way I act isn't very kind or thoughtful or considerate, because I can't be kind or thoughtful or considerate because I have ADHD. So I also can't sit still because I have ADHD, and I can't finish a project because I have ADHD, and I have so many things I like to do, and it's all because I have ADHD. And I'm really special. I'm just neurodivergent, right? ADHD. You know, you guys would just understand me more if you also had ADHD. Well, let me tell you, you do not have ADHD, my friend. You do not have ADHD. You have a problem, okay? Your problem is very simple, okay? My dude. You're part of the big industrial food complex, okay? You've been taking those Doritos and the highly processed sugars, and they have given you a false sense of how your brain operates. So in grade 1, what do? You have a 6-year-old boy. He comes in. He's absolutely perfect. Mommy reads to him every single night. Mommy loves him. He is very, very adored. But guess what? He's a 6-year-old boy, and it's kind of hard to sit still when you're a 6-year-old boy. In fact, it's kind of hard to hold a pencil when you're a 6-year-old boy. So what do we do with this 6-year-old boy? Well, we put him in a classroom with 23 children, and of those 23 children, only like 5 of them actually speak English. And so those 5 kids aren't necessarily well behaved either. It's crazy. Red 40 symptoms. Yes, that's it. Constantly, everywhere. These kids are totally poisoned. And then the teachers get special conventions and special meetings and talks where we bring in people with ADHD who are just so excited to say what you really need to do is medicate these kids. Because do you know what you need if you can't focus? Do you know what you really need if you have trouble with being a 6-year-old boy, and if you are poisoned by bad food, you need to continue to eat the bad food. In fact, not only do you need to keep eating the bad food, you need to actually have more. They recommended in our school district that if you had boys that couldn't sit still, what you needed to do was actually give them more stuff that would make them extra sick. So you should be giving them sour keys every 10 minutes. So your desk needs to be a cornucopia of delicious treats that you're giving these little boys and girls to keep them on focus. And don't forget the girls with ADHD, the ones that are sitting there, they are definitely suffering from ADHD, you know. You can tell because they sit there and they're quiet. And sometimes while they sit there, they're just, oops. No. What'd I do? Oh, I'm on a Mac. Can you tell? I'm making all sorts of interesting choices. But yes, they put the kids on strong stimulants. Okay, but not just the kids. They've also decided to put their parents on strong stimulants because in Canada, do you know what they say? In Canada, they say at least one of the parents has to have ADHD. So the parents and the kids all go on strong stimulants together. And it's just a really magical time because guess what happens when you put an adult on stimulant drugs? They start driving dangerously. Okay? They start throwing things. They start acting like they're on stimulants. And they know that's bad, so do you know what they do at nighttime? They start drinking lots of alcohol. So now you are doing the Judy Garland trick, okay? You're not a tap dancing star from the 1940s. You don't need to be acting like Judy Garland, my friends. You do not need to be taking stimulants to stay up all day and to be taking alcohol at night so you can sleep, or sedatives. You're not that special. You're not that important. You actually could just take all the bad crap out of your diet and have a much better life. Sorry, I did want to come into this with a rant because apparently there are things we're saying out there. But in my experience, the solution to children who are suffering with attention in schools is to give them a steady drip of processed sugar all day, every day. It's the most horrible thing. If you don't have candy at your desk, you have no ability to manage these children because they are already severely addicted and they are super young. It is so heartbreaking to see. So, and the thing is if you're part of the system, you don't really have much choice because what do you do when you have somebody who's got a severe addiction? There's not really a lot you can do. They're stuck. They are totally too far gone, okay? So I know that when I've been in an environment to see this, there's really not much you can do for these kids. It really sucks. But I think it's a tragedy for the children. There is some hope because they do seem to see that children who are neglected or just not socialized properly and develop these problems in school, if you put them on drugs and they have the hyperfocus while they're in school from the drugs, they seem to be able to work on their brain development, which is great. It's so good because then when they're teenagers, you can take them off the drugs and they seem to be more functional than if they had never done it. I really don't like that research, but that is a point in favor of putting the kids on it young. All I've seen with adults is a really big escalating sense. Oh my goodness. What is it? Lots and lots of consequences, and it doesn't stop. You don't actually ever go on less stuff. You just go on more and more and more and more. It's a party. Oh, anyway. I'm just super frustrated. And it is the food. Did my encoder die? Maybe. That's okay. We can figure this out. But anyway, I do need to spend a bit more time thinking about these things. But I do find that one really, really frustrating. Because anytime I open Facebook Reels, anytime I open anything like Instagram or YouTube, so I can tell I have ADHD because it's so funny I can never find my keys. It's so funny, I can remember and get really excited about this one important thing, but then I forget about it and I move on and I can't finish. The fact is, everybody would like to start new projects and have something exciting at all times. Finishing things isn't fun, okay? The best you do is like the check mark. You got almost as Ritalin, but your mother objected. Home cooking is the best. Yeah, you were totally rescued. That was a good save. I'm even putting that in the chat. I think it is actually mostly the food and a misunderstanding of how children operate. So if you know children, young boys, they don't do well until they're probably 9 years old in a classroom. It's really hard for a lot of boys to sit still and be calm when they're really little. I always, when I think about how my daughters are behaving versus how my sons are behaving, okay, I have 5 kids. I say 30% reduction in age for the boys versus the girls. So if my daughter is 9 and my son is 11, then I have to imagine my son is closer to 8 years old in mentality, and it's not his fault, and 8 years old in his behavior. And that's because boys mature differently. We're trying to socialize boys like they're girls, and because they're not doing what we want, and because they're not being chill, we're throwing them to the wolves. We're drugging them early, and you can't really undo that. So, even prescribing doctors will say the kids go on the drugs from Monday to Friday, but you give them a break on the weekend or they stop working. There's someone very important to me in my life who tried these out, and it was heartbreaking because the first time this person tried out the stimulants for ADHD, he said, for the first time in our life, I was looking at faces, and I could see expressions on faces, and I could see people were responding to what I was doing with their expressions on their faces. And I got so much work done that day. And then all of a sudden, it was like the capacity for joy was sucked out, and I had witnessed someone who was existing just to be a cog in the machine, a motor who was oiled well to move fast and get things done. And then I saw a pattern of increasingly destructive behavior in multiple adults who say they have ADHD and start the stimulants. They start the stimulants, and then it's too much. They can't sleep at night, so they go into alcohol or some kind of sedative drugs, and it just becomes a process. This person said to me after some time that it didn't take long to need a stronger dose to try and get that first day effect of the stimulants going, and that was horrifying because it really is a slow drip. It's not good. So, I don't know. I think ADHD is manufactured by manufactured food. I think everyone has been completely poisoned by the food that we buy in stores. Anything in packages, anything in boxes, anything with more than 3 ingredients, and the 3 ingredients should probably be meat, water, salt, and nothing else. Okay? So why do we have a goat farm? Why do we have a goat farm? Because I don't believe in the great industrial machine taking our children and making them grow up to be sick slaves that spend their lives spending all their money and all their time serving a capitalist monster, because the capitalist system creates Doritos. And what are Doritos but the most perfect food for people to eat and not be able to stop eating? Or Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola used to be kind of chill, but that's not what it is anymore. Coca-Cola is now this horrible... it got worse and then it got better. So maybe it's fine now. I don't know. I really don't like the gifts of modern culture. I really don't. I find it very upsetting. Anyway, I forgot I can stream in vertical and horizontal at the same time. I don't think I can change it midstream. So I gotta do a better job running these live streams. That's okay. Vinyl, keto is amazing. I would suggest you stay on the keto diet. And if you want to experiment further, we do carnivore in my household. The kids are more keto, but beef, butter, bacon, eggs. That's it. Raw goat milk, okay? We go get our goat's milk every morning. That's pretty extreme, but it's so frustrating to let people control your body by having so much control in the ingredients that they put into the food that we eat. But keto is pretty wonderful. Yeah, I believe that's incredible. There is no reason why everyone should be unhealthy. That's got to tell you that there's real problems in the food system. I'm really glad you're able to do that. And I don't know, like, we've done a full year beef, butter, bacon, eggs, and it's really crazy because every time I think, oh, I could add this in, or I could add this in, or I could add this in, for me it's so easy because I play piano and I got really horrible arthritis starting at the age of 17 in my right hand, and I really struggled to play piano or do much with that hand. I remember when I'm in the classroom trying to write on the whiteboard, it's very painful for my hands. And then I went on this diet and all the inflammation is gone and I can use my hand normally again. My right hand, right? So it's not trivial. It's very frustrating how it gets that way. So anyway, dual stream. Ooh. I don't know if I can turn this on. No, I don't think I can. That's okay. How do I turn on dual stream? I really wanted to do that, but I don't think I can. It'd be interesting if you could. Customization, details, streaming software. No, I don't know. Anyway. So this is kind of a chill stream, and I'm not too sure. Gosh, it's crazy. Oh, I think the world is a mess. I think the world is definitely needing to work on some things. All right, that being said, there's some pretty goats here, and they got to eat an entire 2 liters of goat milk, and you can see they have been disbudded, and they should grow up to be very, very healthy goats. Okay, I'm pretty hopeful that we'll be able to keep them for a long time. So all the doelings we bottle feed so they can be extra friendly, and hopefully we can train them to be good mothers. That's the plan. Anyway. Oh. So have you experienced, let me know in the comments if anyone does a watch afterwards, if you've had an experience with ADHD in your family where people over-medicated. And if you find this extremely offensive, please tell me. Have you ever taken out every processed food? Have you ever gone on a super crazy elimination diet to see what would happen? Because I look in the comments, this is just one person saying good things that have happened when they've done that. And then I've got my story, my husband's story. He lost 40 pounds and his depression symptoms, such as they were, total remission. Okay. My son grew like 3 inches, and his growth had been stunted for like 3 years. My daughter, my 14-year-old, hadn't grown at all for 2 years, and once we changed the diet, she grew an extra 2 inches. Okay. It's just been very obvious to me that diets had a huge impact on health. So I don't think everybody's got mental conditions. I think people have personalities. I think people have quirks. I think people are special. I think they're interesting. And I think that we overdiagnose because we're trying to explain ourselves away. It's like, I'm so acceptable because I have these letters behind my name that don't talk about how much money I spent in university, but instead they tell the whole world all the ways that I've decided it's good for me to be impolite and behave poorly. Like, okay, fine. Good for you. I've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So I get to do whatever I want, okay? And you have to be nice about it because I just was born with problems. You're so lucky you weren't born with problems like me. You know? Does anyone else feel like that's how it comes across sometimes? Because that's the vibe I get. It's like, oh, great. Let's see who can have the biggest problems. I bet I'll win, okay? No. The food is a mess, and there's a lot more suffering than necessary going on in the world because of that. You might be wondering why we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait. There should be 7 there. That's potato. Where's Pom Pom? I'll be out there in a minute to check. But it looks like all the goats are by the heat plate. It's not too cold here right now. They're doing okay. I gotta end the stream for now and take care of my baby goats and go to bed because tomorrow is a second day back at work after maternity leave for this goat farmer. And milking goats starts at 4:30 in the morning here because we're milking 7 goats with bad attitudes. These aren't nice goats we're milking right now. These are the ones that do not identify as milk goats. Okay? If they were able to put letters of the alphabet after their names, I'm sure they would identify as not milk goats. So there's would be bad goat, NOTMILKGOAT. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough. Thank you for stopping by. Final thank you. I appreciate you joining me as I talk about very important things. Please don't medicate your children. Please don't medicate your children. I'm not allowed to say that. What I am allowed to say is I understand this is a really difficult choice. And whatever you do, I know you're doing it because you love your child. And, you know, I would not do that for my son because I think it's experimental science. I can't even say that part, but that's what I'm thinking when I say that. It's crazy. All right, that's enough. Thanks. Goodbye, everyone.